morning, and welcome to the Core Connection. I'm Mira Rubin here with you on Enlightened World Network. And today's topic is intention and synchronicity. And I'm looking forward to talking about that. It's really talking about manifesting and reinforcing that and building that muscle for intentionality and creating our desired outcomes. But before we get started, let's welcome in this new week by getting settled in and present. So let's take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And imagine clean, crisp oxygen flooding your lungs, flowing into your bloodstream, nourishing every cell, every organ. And as you exhale, exhale any tension, any stress, any negativity, any fatigue. And let's take another deep breath in. And this time, let's imagine brilliant, bright light lighting you up from the inside out, energizing, electrifying, illuminating from every cell, every molecule, every electron. And as you exhale, exhale any fatigue, any negativity, any toxicity. And now let's just gently press our palms together. Softly, softly rub your fingers against your palms just to feel how delicious that sensation is, and bring yourselves present to being here right now. And welcome, welcome. Thanks for starting this new week with me. So great to be here with you. And today we're going to talk about intention and synchronicity and the art of manifestation. So I'm not a big goal person, and where that comes from is really looking at living life from the inside out rather than the outside in. And goals are external measures that when we chase our goals, when we pursue our goals, what happens is that we're focused on the external objective rather than having it move from the inside. When we move from the inside, then the external manifestations of our intentions become a byproduct rather than the objective itself. So the objective may be to be fit. So I'm going to run a marathon, for instance, and I, through my intention to be fit, find that I have this enthusiasm about doing this marathon and exercising and getting myself into a state where I'm capable of doing that and doing that well. So what we're talking about is, rather than goals, intentions, and moving from the beingness rather than the doingness. So that if my intention was simply to run a marathon, then after I run the marathon, then what? And our goals are only as good as as the next goal that we are creating. In other words, once we achieve a goal, then there's that void or that vacuum. Rather than coming from the intention, that's an ongoing state of being. So we're talking about creating intentions, and it may seem nuanced, the distinction between intention and goal, but I'll give an example that I'm excited about, actually. So I have a podcast called Sustainability Now, and we have movie nights every Thursday night at 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Time, where we either air our interviews or we show a movie, and usually we have a speaker, whether it's our interviewee or somebody related to the movie, a producer, director, somebody who was featured in the movie, etc. So there's a movie called Kiss the Ground that's recently come out that is a beautiful movie about connecting back with the earth and regenerative agriculture And I've been intending to we've been intending to air this movie and intending to find somebody who would be a good representative for that, for the Q&A that evening. And I recently learned about a new social networking platform called Clubhouse, which you may want to check out. It's invitation only, but it's kind of like a live radio network where people can have these audio conversations, and if people are putting on a conversation, you can be in the audience and potentially be elevated to the stage to be participating in the conversation, almost like you would call into a talk show kind of thing. And I looked on there for people who are involved in sustainability, and I found Ryan Egelhard, who is I believe, the producer of the movie, who started a, um, a an organization called Kiss the Ground, and I followed them, and then synchronistically, I was awake much later than my normal bedtime, and saw that they had a room open, uh, and I was able to connect with Ryland, which was awesome, and totally unexpected, totally synchronicity us, or synchronous, or coincidental. I don't particularly believe in coincidences, and I believe that that was a function. Good morning, Irma. Welcome. It's so good to have you here. I believe that was a function of my intention. And one of the things that we learn about manifesting is that we hold the intention, or we set the intention with a high level of emotion, and then let it go. So it's not like it's a constant focus or something that we're constantly putting attention to necessarily, but the high energy of the emotion, it powers this, and then we kind of release attachment to it, just give it to the universe to take care of it. And what that's exactly what happened in this situation. We'll see, we'll see how the communication and the connection evolves, but it was really, really neat to see how that just happened organically, and with ease, with a certain grace. And so the topic for today is intentionality and synchronicity, and how when we notice these synchronicities, when we acknowledge them and recognize them, that it kind of gives fuel to that process, that by celebrating the workings of the universe that's supporting us. Good morning. I'm wondering if that's Dido that just showed up, or if it's somebody else under Enlightened World Network. Good morning. It's great to have you here, whoever you are. And so when we recognize the magic of our lives, when we recognize that the universe, hi Dido, great, thank you, so good, so glad to have you here as always. When we recognize the synchronicities in our lives, what we're doing is we're building that muscle for awareness and recognition, and we're also kind of giving the universe feedback that says, hey, thanks, we're playing in this together, and we're dancing together in this dance, and it's sort of like acknowledging your dancing partner. And when there is this give and take, this recognition, then then it deepens the relationship. Just like with anything else, as we notice things more, as we practice things more, we improve our ability with those things. So good morning, Rosalind. Great to have you here. And Luz, welcome, welcome. Wonderful to have you here as well. So we're talking about intentions and synchronicities. And the other thing that I encourage is looking at it not. Good morning, Lynn. Happy Monday to you too. What I encourage is looking at these quote unquote coincidences or synchronicities that happen in our lives, and then look at what might be the intention that was behind them. So, kind of to deconstruct some of the magic in our lives, to recognize that, hey, maybe we actually had an intention that's showing up in these wonderful uh, quote unquote coincidences, synchronicities that are happening in our lives. And that way, too, we get to recognize that setting our intentions, we're strengthening the power of setting intentions, and we can be more conscious or deliberate about doing so potentially. And the idea here is to be getting into a more fluid dance with the universe and creating the lives that we desire and that we dream of. So I'm wondering if you feel inclined to share some synchronicities and coincidences and magical kinds of happenings that have occurred when you've set certain intentions. And the thing about these intentions and synchronicities and the whole idea of setting them with a passion and then allowing yourself to hold them with an open hand, in other words, to sort of let go of trying to make something happen, the power of that that is multifold. One is that when we are really attached to something and holding on to an idea, that's creating resistance in by feeling like we have to hold it so tight. It's almost a confirmation or a reinforcement of our doubt that it'll happen. So if we just know that something's going to happen, then we can hold it with open hand and in a graceful expectation. The other thing is that when we hold it with open hand or we let go of the idea, then it leaves room for something to manifest in a way that is maybe above and beyond anything we might have imagined. So when we focus, hyper focus on a result rather than an intention, the result may be constrained. We're thinking something has to happen exactly in the way that we're imagining it, rather than allowing the universe to provide a solution or a result that may be even grander and often is, and certainly frequently shows up very differently than any way we would have imagined. So I certainly couldn't have anticipated this experience with Clubhouse and connecting directly with Ryland, that it's very it was completely unanticipated. So Rosalind says, when we set an intention and we just ignore things that are we just ignoring things that are not in alignment with us, then synchronicity is just attachments to an idea. So when we set an intention, are we just ignoring things that are not in alignment with us? Then synchronicity is just attachment to an idea. Maggie looks calm this morning, not ripping off keyboard buttons or hanging from your ears, Mira. Well, yeah. So here's the keyboard button that I haven't figured out how quite to reattach. But so she got it out of her system before we went live. Anyway, I'm not sure what you're saying, Rosalind. Are we ignoring things that are not in alignment with us? I think maybe it's a matter of not putting energy to the things that are not in alignment with us. And maybe you could call that ignoring. I think we can recognize things without having a charge to them, perhaps, and then choose where to focus our intention. And so if we have a clear intention, if that intention is within our being, you know, if we're vibrating at that frequency of that intention, if we're aligned with the intention, then it doesn't, other things aren't impacting that necessarily. And so the synchronicity being an attachment to an idea, I'm not sure, maybe you're saying that the interpretation of those synchronicities are an attachment to the idea. I don't know. I think there's magic to notice. And, you know, on some level, Rosalind, what you're saying is true, because isn't it all an idea? Isn't it all a perception? Isn't our experience really based in perception and interpretation more than anything else? You know, the reality and the truth that we experience is very much influenced by our perspective, by our predisposition. So if I'm predisposed to see magic, then I'll see more magic. You know, I'll be looking for magic, so that's what I'll see. If I'm predisposed to seeing all the ills of the world, then that's what I'll see. So Tammy says, good morning, Mira and Maggie. Thank you. Maggie says, hi, Tammy. Welcome. Great to have you here. And Lewis, I hope I'm saying your name right. I don't know if I am. Okay, it's like wanting some persons to change, but then you put so much tension to it, and then you realize, you know, what just let, and you realize, you know what, just let it happen. Just pray on it and hand it over to the universe, and things will change. Because if that's the case, if that is the case, then mine came true. So I think that when we set an intention, now the thing about intentions about other people or other people changing, that's not really within our control. But oftentimes when we let go, it allows us to change, and therefore our interaction with others changes consequently. I at least that's what I found. But I'm glad that it came true for you, because you just let it happen, allowed the universe to just take over, and you released your attachment to it. So then things could happen and evolve, and apparently they evolved the way that you were hoping for. So congratulations on that. Good morning, Christina. So good to have you back. We've missed you here. Rosalind says that makes sense, that we can put energy and focus on intention, and then other things that are not as important will fall away. With regard to synchronicity, I do see the clock time 5:55 a lot lately. That's interesting. Very interesting. I see 11:11 or 1:11 a lot. And I see like 12:34, 1, 2, 3, 4 a lot. So interesting. And 7:18 is another number that I see quite a lot. It's interesting that we see these things. When I see those things, I interpret them as a confirmation that I'm on the right track. And that may or may not be so, but that's how I choose to interpret them. And Rosalind says 111 too. Yes. Good morning, Andrea. Welcome so much for for joining us. Tammy says, me also. I see 10, 10, 11, 11, and 12, 12 a lot. And Rosalind says 9, 11 also. Interesting. So these patterns that we perceive, when we perceive them, well, partly because we ascribe meaning to them, when they occur, we notice them more, right? And as we notice them more, we ascribe more meaning to them, so we notice them more. I think that that's a lot of the synchronicity that happens. I kind of view those patterns that I am aware of as winks from the universe, and winks like, hey, yeah, it's happening. We're on the right path. Good morning, Lynn. Welcome for joining. Welcome and thank you for joining us. 1111 and 111 all the time. Yeah, interesting, isn't it, to see that these patterns happen? I once took a screenshot of my phone inadvertently, and it was 1111. So that was fun. And I notice dates also sometimes, like when the clock time and the dates coincide sometimes is pretty cool. And anyway, number patterns are fun. And I'm wondering if when you see those things, what goes on for you? Do you feel like there's a communication, like a wink from the universe? Do you feel like you're on the right track? Do you just, what does it do for you? Lois says, me too, I screenshot too. Yes, so it's fun when we, like on 1111, to see 111 or 1111 is super fun too on the date. I'm wondering, what do you make these things mean? What do you allow them to mean? Because I see them as, like I said, a wink from the universe, a little bit like magic, and a confirmation that I'm on the right track. And so that supports me in finding more magic. So again, we're building our muscles for intentionality and synchronicity, and creating or co-creating with the universe the lives that we desire, right? Rosalind says, the thought I just have before I see the clock. Yes. Okay. So Rosalind says, when seeing those numbers, it kind of makes you pay more attention to the thought that you had. Rosalind says, I put more reflection on the thought I had just before I noticed the clock time. That's pretty cool. So it's like a wake-up call, the universe saying, okay, pay attention. What were you just thinking? And Liz says, when I see the 1111, to me, it was like I had to do two jobs, because somebody called it out to me, and I was just telling me, don't worry about it. You got this. Okay. So, it's kind of like, take it easy, relax. We're good, right? It's like a confirmation that things are going the right way somehow. What else? What other kinds of synchronicities happen for you? Like, for instance, when you think about somebody and they call you right away, or they call you within a day or two, that's pretty remarkable. Or when the phone rings and you know who it is. Or what other kinds of synchronicities? I find a lot of it happens when I think of someone and I bump into them, or they call me, or I hear from them. That happens a lot. And so now, I tend to act more quickly when I think of someone. Sometimes it's that person when I call or connect says, "Wow, I so appreciate your reaching out. I really needed to hear from you right now," or "I really needed some support," or something like that. Um, so intentionality and synchronicity. So the synchronicity is confirmation of our intention. I don't know if that's always true, but I showed up on this room that that was being run by Ryland and his wife. The topic was, how do we know what we know? How do we know when we know? That's what it was. How do we know when we know? And that, I think that's an interesting question to ponder. What came up for me is that our knowing often comes in whispers. And that's where this intentionality, this connection with our deeper presence, our deeper beings, soul, spirit, whatever you want to call it, that's where our our connection with this dance with the universe comes sometimes in whispers, like where you have an intuition. I think intention and intuition are deeply bound, from the beingness place. This intentionality is spurred by that inner knowing that we call intuition. And so by cultivating the connection with the intuition, the intention, and the synchronicities, we get to strengthen that loop and realize that those nudges often come as whispers, just a very quiet, gentle, subtle nudge in the direction of something that is going to fulfill your intention, your soul song, your guided action. So I think that is a loop, actually, is intuition, intention, and synchronicity. So it's kind of like it comes from this voice from our deepest being, and then we set an intention based on that urging, and the synchronicities are feedback from the environment, confirmation around that. And I think that there are multitudes of synchronicities that occur, that or that kind of feedback that occurs that we often don't recognize. Like, I have an urge to call somebody and they're there and they're never ever there. When like they rarely pick up the phone, or you just get this impulse to go do something, and when you do it, something remarkable happens that seems totally unrelated. Maybe you meet somebody that you never ever would have met otherwise, or you bump into somebody that you haven't seen for forever. There are all different ways that we can recognize the magic that happens on a daily basis. And I think as we recognize that more and more, we invoke it naturally, because we come to expect it in a way, or we create space for it. Let's say it that way. We create space for it. So, and all of it, I believe, all of it serves us to deepen our connection with our authentic selves, and with the world. So, yeah, I think that might be it for today. So I want to say thank you so much for joining me. And do look for the synchronicities. Do look for uh, the things in the world that support your intentions, and allow yourself to gain clarity around your intentions. And we can also call in. I don't want to say that intentions are the same as expectations. I don't believe they are at all. But when we have negative expectations, there is an intention, like a kind of warped intention that comes behind that. So Rosalind says, synchronicity happened when I wasn't sure why I was spending time with a new person. When I glanced over to the couch nearby at this new person's house, I saw the same pillow cover pattern my mom used to have. I imagine my mom was saying it was okay to explore spending time with this new person. My mom is no longer in 3D realm, but I often look for signs of her that she's still with me. I see her in my house plants. She liked to garden and had a ridiculous number of orchids. That's awesome, Rosalind. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's a beautiful thing. Exactly. So your mom, it's like your mom was there. And that's amazing, amazing, amazing. And so Maggie loves you guys too. She is a lot more mellow today. We spent a lot of really quality time over the weekend. This was the funniest thing, and I have to share it with you before I jump off. But Maggie stories. So I am a big bath person. I love baths, and I tend to take at least one bath a week, and like a long, luxurious bath. So Maggie was with me in the bathroom, and I was in the bathtub, and she landed on my shoulder. My hands were above, just sort of floating, crossed on the water, and she climbed down my arm, and she took a bath. She waded in up to her chest from my arms. She waded in up to her chest, and put her head in the water, and got drenched, and she was soaked, and it was really, really cool to have this time bathing together. It was totally unexpected and really, really lovely and fun. So funny bird stories. She's really quite a character, and we're getting a better and better rhythm together. So anyway, it's my pleasure to share her with you. And yeah, and she then had another bath later in the day in my cat's water glass. So my cat drinks water from this big water glass because it always tastes better from a glass than a bowl, right? So she has a glass by the bed that she drinks from. And so Maggie, after her bath in the morning, took a bath in Jules' water glass later in the day. So she really had a lot of water time yesterday, which was fun. Anyway, lots of love to you. I'm Mira Rubin. This is the Core Connection. I go live on Enlightened World Network's Facebook page every weekday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern. And of course, this is Maggie. She's the star of the show. And I invite you guys to check out the wonderful programming on Enlightened World Network and the awesome community there. And until next time, look for the magic in your life, and notice the intentions that you set, and how life then conspires to support you in the fruition of those intentions. Much love to you. Until next time.